Shalom, people. This is Brother Laos coming at you with another video. I just want to speak to our people who are really, really believe that are really buying into this thing that moving over to the Republican Party and embracing Donald Trump in order to get him in office to stop illegal immigration of these nations into our country and particularly into our neighborhoods. I just want to tell you that is not the right answer. I don't believe that. I believe in a time of desperation, people will do desperate things, and people say, well, if you're not here with these people flooding in and doing all the crazy things that you see them doing on TV with the crime, with the possible diseases that are being unleashed on this nation, because we don't know what their health status of many of them are. If you don't have to deal with that, you are not one to need to be telling us excuse me, what to do. I would just say this: nothing from nothing leaves nothing. We know that the Republican Party has, for the most part, since there was a move of the Dixiecrats in the early 1960s, moving from the Democratic Party over to the Republican Party because of John F. Kennedy appearing to favor Martin Luther King and the civil rights leaders, how they, a massive migration of them over to the Republican Party, that there has been pretty much nothing but open racism that has been spewed out of their mouth, not just concerning black people, but primarily us. And so, for the most part, even with the token black people that are amongst them, they have not ever, in my opinion, ever toned down their racism. I talked about this before when I was talking about Michael Steele. That was the name. I think I made a couple of videos ago, when I was talking about Lieutenant Governor Steele. His name was Michael Steele. He was Lieutenant Governor of the state of Virginia. He was at one time, he was a staunch Republican. He was with the second Bush administration. I forgot what he put him over. I want to say he was over the Department of Homeland Security. I could be wrong. Go back and check that. But he had a very prominent position in the first Bush's second Bush's administration. But for whatever reason, when he started to try to start reaching out to black people in order to tell them, hey, the Republican Party is not as racist as you think, and he started trying to bring up talking points where he said, I'm going to start talking to my Republican colleagues about, the treatment of blacks with the inner cities and different things. They pushed back against him and said, look, you was only for window dressing, Michael Steele. There's not really going to be no change of us trying to change the condition of the black ones, except the ones that on their own come to us and ask, can they be affiliated with us? We will allow that to come into our presence, but not no one of y'all people coming in and making demands of us. That's not what it's about for us to be supposedly a fair and balanced group of people. That's not what it's about. And what you start seeing was Michael Steele. He tried to hold on in the Republican Party as long as he could, and then what you start seeing him drift over to MSNBC and all these different things, and he was trying to talk up different things, and then basically the Republican Party, I know what it was. He was not the Department of Homeland Security. He was he was the chairman of the RNC. That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. And so anyway, he basically just kind of went off the scene when it came to any talking points with the Republicans. Basically, they basically just kind of like booted him out. You kind of seen the same thing with Michael Armstrong Williams, who I think Bush put in the Department of Education and all these kind of things with the grading of the schools, where some schools, if they didn't keep the grades up and the performance up, they was either cutting back funding or shut them down. But you kind of seen that they did the same thing with Armstrong Williams. They kind of kicked him to the side. And so I'm trying to tell you that this thing of you trying to go to the Republicans for help is basically gonna be like you swimming up to the ship and you drowning. You think the ship is gonna throw you a life preserver, but all you're gonna get is a cinder block. They're gonna throw you a cinder block. Right now, they're pandering per se with little rhetoric here, little rhetoric there, but they're not really going to do no substantive change. And if you think that this is gonna make the quote unquote Democrats shaking their boots because they think that you're gonna wholesale go over to Republican, they really at this point they don't care. They know that the Republicans is not going to throw you a lifeline, and indeed them and the Republicans are indeed working together. I believe that when it comes to this immigration thing. Why so? We know that they can't pass a bill right now, and they can't pass the bill because in the bill that the Speaker of the House, Michael Johnson, says he will not bring the bill to the floor for a vote. That bill would effectively, if it would change and revamp the immigration, right? It would toughen the borders. It would toughen asylum seekers. All of these different things. It would do all of that. It would hire more border patrol agents. Now, it would probably take some years for it to really take effect to stop a lot of this illegal immigration, but it is there. It is there, and Joe Biden had already said that if they put the bill up for vote and it get passed, that he would indeed sign the bill. But why is it being held up, you ask? Why is it? Because we know that Donald Trump does not want that bill to be passed, because then he wants to be the one that says, oh, I'm the one that shut the borders down. And that's the only point that he has on running. He don't have no other points that is of no consequence to anybody. He ain't got nothing else that he can offer black people, American people. He ain't got nothing else he can offer anybody. So he is putting pressure on his people in the Republican Party not to let that bill come up for vote, because he realizes that he would not get the donations that he needs to pay some of these lawyers and these lawsuits and stuff that he got. He understands that, therefore they're doing his bidding. Now, let's go back to the Democrats. Does Joe Biden, and I said this before, does Joe Biden need that bill to shut the border down? No, he does not. He can do it as an executive order. And indeed, he had a meeting of the governors, I think it was either last week or a couple of weeks ago, and he said something to the effect, I'm going to scare the Republicans because I'm thinking about using the executive order to shut down the border. He understands that even if he does do an order to shut down the border, he don't have enough border patrol agents that can stop the people from getting in. There's too many breaks and lines and stuff in the southern border. Indeed, now they're coming from the northern border. So we understand if he did an executive order, that would be a dog whistle for, look, immigrants, you better flood into this country right now, because I got agents now. I don't have enough, but the agents that I do, if they catch you, they're gonna send you back. But I'm sure that they have networks in there that's gonna guide them around. Those coyotes, don't be surprised if they start trying to apprehend these coyotes and they can interrogate some of them and find out. Don't be surprised if you not find out that some of these quote unquote coyotes are not actually contractors working for the United States of America to shepherd these people in, because again, it goes back to what Joe Biden said at the beginning of his administration, 3 months into his administration, when he talked to black leaders and told them that the white population was being diminished to a point that it would be infantile in the sense of the numbers against other peoples in the Americas. And did you hear any Republican come and push back against what Joe Biden was saying about what was going to happen to white America? No, they wasn't. And don't think that they not. Remember, it was George Bush that was going to deal with this illegal immigration basically the same way that Biden was going to be, and he got a bunch of pushback against the Republican Party. But he was trying to tell them the reality of the situation. Why do you think his brother Jeb Bush married a Hispanic woman? Now, I can't say that was the only reason, but they was foreseeing the future. They was foreseeing what was going to happen, and George Bush was trying to get them into understanding the reality of what is going on. Remember what I told you when I was in the military, and we was doing some training at this one base, and I told you that you seen all these people from all these different nations, because indeed when America invaded Iraq and they started having those problems, America was bringing over a lot of Iraqis to train as interpreters and sending them back. Well, you know that when America pulled out of Iraq and then things started going, a lot of those people they brought into the United States, because they could not leave them over there, because they have been working with the United States government, and there was tens of thousands of them. The same thing happened with Afghanistan. The same thing has happened with Ukraine. There has been a capitulation, I'm telling you, by both parties, that they know that the immigrants coming in. But what the fight is about is which party is going to be able to get the lion's share of who they are. The Republicans, they don't feel right now that they're getting enough of them in, and also they don't like how the Democrats are enticing the immigrants to side with them by getting them into these programs and different things. What the Republicans want them to do, they want them to work for the corporations for little or nothing and not get none of the benefits, which sort of a lot of immigrants, if they didn't get the benefits like welfare, SNAP, and all these things, they still was going to come. But the Democrats is using that as a ploy so that they will become lifetime Democrats. And the Republicans say, no, we're going to push back against that. They can come, but they need to work for low wages, the wages that we don't want to pay the black man, definitely, and other American citizens, neither. That's what if we bring them in, it's going to be on those terms. And that is the fight that is going on, is not to stop them from coming in. Because remember, what did they find out about Donald Trump? That his staff that was working in his Mar-a-Lago mansion were Hispanic people, were Hispanic maids. And that the very, very racist governor of Texas, his wife is Hispanic. So they're dog whistles. They're sending out dog whistles. Don't be deceived by either one of them. I'm telling you. What is the answer, you say? What is the answer? Cling to your shore. That's what I can tell you. I know that's not the answer you want to hear. You're like, you know what? We got to live here on earth, right? We got to deal with people. Yeah, right. Okay, so did I say that you couldn't deal with people? But I'm saying you're asking me to answer. the answer in the long run is to cling to Yeshua, be led by the Holy Spirit in what you do. I'm not telling you don't be a Republican, don't be a Democrat. I'm not telling you either one of that, but I'm telling you the answer in this situation that you're dealing with is not going to be answered by either party, because they're both in on it, as has been in every situation. Can we not remember President Andrew Johnson? Can you not remember that black people have made great strides during Reconstruction for the first 11 to 12 years, that we have made great strides, but at the expense of the Union Army being in the South? What was the great compromise? Look, we ain't paid out enough money to keep these troops in the South to protect the black people. Our people was depending on the Republicans at that time. They were depending on them, helping them get solidified, right? And then what ended up happening? The great compromise, where they said, look, if you just pull the troops back, right? You give us, the slave owners, our former slave owners, our land back. We'll do the rest. You can move back up north and deal with. So I'm telling you, we're looking at the same situation. The Most High is not going to have it any other way for us, but that we look to Him. Look to Him. Look to Him. Look to Him. Yeshua said it. Ye shall not see me again until ye say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of Yahuwah. Why is it that we're going to be like that? Because He is going to allow situations, whereas our ancestors rejected Him, man, we gonna be begging for Him. We are begging for a great black leader to rise up on the scene. We are asking for that, but He's saying you asking for the wrong one. You gotta ask for my son. You gotta cling to my son. You gotta cling to what He said to you, that you shall not see Him again until you ask for Him, until you plead for Him, until you get your life in order. And another thing that we gotta contend with is the fact that as we see these neighborhoods that we're living in, remember the Most High said, if your ways please Him, He'll make your enemy your footstool. Most of the, especially when it deals with the inner city, and we can talk about how the crime came about or whatever, it doesn't matter right at this point right now. When we see all this stuff that's going on in our inner cities, it's giving our enemies the ammunition that they need to flood these people in there, because they're saying, you want to hold on to these neighborhoods, but what are you doing in these neighborhoods? You're selling a poison to one another. You're killing one another. And indeed, this thing of some of these horrific crimes that are going on, you know, just making headline news. And I know you're saying, and I say it sometimes too. Well, yeah, maybe 5 or 10 people, whatever, but we're not out here killing a whole nation. But when you really look at it, that's comparing apples to oranges. We dealing with a nation, and we dealing with your neighborhood. Your neighborhood is not a nation. It is where you live at. And if we can't have an effect of some kind of peace and some kind of working understanding amongst each other, why are we trying to protect these places, right? Especially when it comes to Chicago, when it comes to Memphis, when it comes to some parts of Atlanta, where you got this massive crime that's going on with the carjackings, the robberies, the assaults, all this kind of stuff. It's out of hand. It's out of hand. And so we gotta look at that, and we gotta understand again that we gotta start with our own individual self. If you are not born again, if you have not been saved, and you have not been filled with the Holy Spirit and walking in the Spirit as according to what the Word says, you can only be responsible for right now yourself. And that's the first thing that you have to get in line is yourself. And then you got to start working on your family. And then you got to start trying to work on your neighborhood as much as you can. I remember this story, and I'm gonna get ready to end. But I can remember back during the crack epidemic when it got really bad in the mid to late 90s in the Northeast, especially around New Jersey area where they had so many carjackings and things. I think they even made a movie about it, and I think at one time it was a carjacking capital of the world, and it was all, of course, revolving around drugs and all these things, chop shots and all that kind of stuff. There was a black preacher. He had just got sick and tired. He said, you know what, I'm tired of waiting for the police to do anything. You know, I'm tired of the politicians. He said the police said if we can't catch them doing an open air sale because he said they're smart enough to know when a car comes. When he said only way it's gonna be is if local citizens can catch them in the act and give us the information. So this preacher, very brave man, he got a camcorder, and he said about when the lights, when it started getting dark, he would get in his, I think he had a station wagon or something. He said he would start driving around the areas where the crack was being sold, and he would videotape them selling the crack, and he would turn the videotape into the police and say, here's your evidence, now go shut this stuff down. Now, because people now has got out with this stop the snitching thing, and made our people think that if they want to stop any kind of crime or this thing that's around them, that they are working for the man, right? When if you don't try to stop the leak while it's a drip, it's gonna burst the pipe and have water all over the place. He was trying to stop it as he started seeing, because he said he started seeing little sales here, he started seeing little prostitution here. So he said, I better jump on it right now, because the police said we don't see it. They're smarter than us when it comes to it. And so he was able to get out there, and he was able to clean up that little part of where he lived. These are the kind of solutions to different things that we're gonna have to deal with. We're gonna have to, if you dealing with the crime of the immigrants or the different things, then you need to start documenting. You need to start just being like the Bible said about the woman that went to the unjust judge and kept complaining over and over and over and over. I need justice, I need justice, I need justice. Now, of course, we gotta pray to the Most High and everything that we do. But if you get out there and you put the system to work as much as you can, right, at the local level, at the lowest level, and pray and seek the Most High, and what you do, I'm telling you, you're gonna receive benefits. And some cases, you where, like I said, it's pretty obvious that the immigrants will have been in place and they're not going to leave. Then the other thing is that you're just gonna have to learn to live in harmony with them as much as possible. Follow peace with all men. In the neighborhood that me and my family used to live in, we could see increasingly over the years that it was a lot of Hispanic people that was coming in. What their status was, I don't know, but for the most part, we didn't have any problem. Now, was we buddy with them and all this kind of different things? That was not so much the case, but you know, they lived their life, we lived our life. You know, we didn't have no problems. You know, we actually had a family on the side of us that was Hispanic. Now they were the what you would call the dark Hispanics, right? And we didn't have any problem. We talked and everything, and yeah. And I think my wife follows. She started following one of the lady on Facebook, and they still Facebook friends and everything today. And so, yeah, in fact, they used to give us food sometime and different things. So I didn't have any problem in that sense. But obviously, like I said, people coming over here and doing different things. Hey, you know, you definitely got to speak out against that. But if it's resources that they're getting, you don't have no control over that. You don't have no control over that except to go to the politicians. But you can't get mad at them if they're gonna take those resources they're offering them, because you would too. You would too. So the answer is when Yeshua comes back, and he's gonna make this all right, because we know that the powers that be, their whole purpose in doing all of this is definitely, yes, to praise us. But how many times have they tried to do that in the past? They have tried to do that with the Chinese. It didn't work. They had tried to do that with the Arabs when they was bringing a lot of them over here in the late 60s, early 70s. That didn't work. When they and even when they stopped trickling in Hispanics, right? What did we do? We just adapted. When they took over the construction jobs, when they took over the highway jobs, whatever, we just navigated to other things. Of course, yes, there was a lot of us that was put into the prison industrial complex. But again, that does not have to be your fate. That does not have to be your fate. If you are a believer in Most High Yah, His Son Yeshua, you're going to be okay. He's going to take care of you. You got to believe that. So with that, I'm going to ask you to give this video a thumbs up. I'm going to ask you to subscribe. I'm going to ask you to leave a comment. I'm going to ask you to believe what the scripture said when it said, follow peace with all men, holiness without no man shall see the Lord. I'm going to ask you to believe what he says, that when a man's ways please Yahuwah, he will make even his enemies at his footstep. Be blessed.